Okay, everybody, I'm here with my twin brother. Literally, this guy is my younger brother. Breaking news. Will.i.am. What up,
Man.
my blood?
What up, Clef?
What
I
do
have
you
to say,
eat?
when I go home to my family, I look more like your family than I do like my family.
Once again, like I had to start like that because Sadek and you literally look the same. You know what I mean?
I remember when we was on the Smoking Grooves tour, our first tour ever. Our first tour ever, like, it was 1998.
Yeah.
We were opening up for, like, nobody. I mean, there was no one in the audience when we went on the road.
You know what I remember? The studio, Hit Factory, before Fergie was in the group.
Yeah, that was 1999 after the tour. But you guys were so beast. Sherman, your whole, like, Sherman, everybody in your camp, Sadek, Milky, everybody was so kind to us. They were so nice to us. Like, for our first tour to be that beautiful, where people were like, they saw what we were capable of doing, they saw the talent, and you guys treated us like family. So thank you so much for that.
Your family is that Haitian hospitality. So, Will, I gotta tell you, first of all, how much I respect you and how much I love you as a brother, first of all. I think when we move so fast, man, in our hemisphere, like we never have time to take a second out, right? Hopefully when things get better, we can get into it, the physicality, and I look forward to being in a room with you, man, and tearing it apart, you know what I'm saying?
Man, so I would love to. I think, you know, the feeling is mutual, like person to person, you're older than me, you're like a big brother. But just in career-wise, like the Fugees are before us, and there's footsteps that were there that was like, oh, okay, do it like this. And so when we first got signed in 1997 to Interscope, we did our first album, we went on tour on the Smoking Grooves, and Jimmy comes back. I come back from tour, I sit with Jimmy, and he says, all right, now you gotta turn in the score. I'm like, the score? What do you mean? You know, Black Eyed Peas record, the first album was a great setup. And now you gotta turn in the score. I'm like,
you sound just like Jimmy Iovine.
I'm like, what type of, like, how do you do that to somebody? How do you tell somebody to try to accomplish something that is literally impossible? Like, turn in the score. Like, you know, Killing Me Softly, all these songs, like, oh my God. Okay, let me do my homework. Like, because the first album was like, oh man, I love Trap Called Quest, I love De La Soul, let me get all my vibes, let me go hunt for, like, you know, obscure samples, and like, let me learn how to work this MPC and produce. And you know, we did our version of our favorite types of hip hop songs.
Yeah.
And then when he said turn in the score, I'm like, oh, these songs played all over the radio, Jimmy. Like, it's a totally different way to, we'll figure it out. I was like, those songs that's not commercial music. It just became commercial. Like, if the score didn't, Jimmy broke it down, he was like, if the score wasn't like, you know, Grammy nominated and all these types of things, you would have looked at it just the way you looked at De La Soul Was Dead. It's a classic hip hop record. Forget about how much it sold. I'm like, oh, okay. Because a lot of artists, for some reason, like, when something becomes super successful, the hip hop community at that point in time didn't want to compete with that particular, you know, style. They stayed underground, and underground was the only, was like a path of, like, assured, comfortable success. And no one really truly aims to compete with the score. So when I started listening and like, okay, these kind of song structures. Okay, well this motherfucker plays the guitar though. I mean, yeah, I look like this dude, but like, I seen him on tour. Wyclef's, I dance. Like my thing is like I rap and dance. Like this motherfucker plays the guitar. And everywhere we went on tour, like when you're opening act, you have the luxuries of like going and hanging out with the audience. So after we would open up, and there would be like 20 people in the audience and like a 6,000, 10,000 seater, it'd be like 100 people, sometimes 300. If we had 300 people in the audience, we'd be like, yo, we rocked it.
Oh, yeah. You killing it.
We rocked it. We had 300 people that were there for us. And Joints and Jams is pretty big, right? But when we wrote Joints and Jams, we were not trying to be on the radio. Like, it wasn't like, yo, let's aim at the radio, like aiming. And so that tour, someone please call 911. I'm like, yo, this dude's writing songs. Because the rapper in me just wanted to annihilate other rappers. Like, ooh, I got this metaphor, I got this punchline. So you spend all your energy with similes, metaphors, punchlines, and quotables that you forget about the song that you're supposed to be writing.
Facts, preach.
For me as a person, like when you go out there in the audience and everybody says, Wyclef! And I'm like, no, I'm not Wyclef. I'm Will. I'm a different, but one person could be like, fuck that, I'm not that nigga. Like, I'm not him. But to me, that told me what I needed to do. It told me like, if I look like him, then you can't help who you look like. I look like the guy. But I could help how I write like. So when Jimmy said, do the score, I had to take that with an open mind because a part of me was like, do you understand how many motherfuckers call me Wyclef Jimmy? Now you telling me to make the score? You understand, bro? Like, what the fuck? You're insulting me. You can take that as an insult, right? So I was like, but I understood what he was talking about. I knew what he was talking about. So for me, I was like, okay, I have to hop in the matrix and figure out the architecture of what he means. So long story short, you were a big brother in my career as far as like study. And to myself, it's like, okay, my hurdle is for people to see me as Will. Because unfortunately, they call me Wyclef. And the moment that the people, they see, you know what I mean? It's like it's a real thing. Like
Face
that,
Off,
a hurdle
man,
for
John
me.
Travolta movie. The Face Off.
Because it's never really, I mean, out of all the people in music history, it's never, I'm trying to think of like Little Richard was Little Richard, you know? And there's not that many people that
I
look.
think there's barely like two people that look alike. Like we could barely.
There's nothing, right?
Unless they're like a family group. Yo.
I'm thinking of like, when does this happen in history? When does this happen in history where two people that look alike, they names start with W's?
Yo, let me tell you, what's crazy about that, right, is I'll even go a step deeper than you. So with Jimmy Iovine, who I consider one of my greatest mentors, right, and David Sonnenberg, what I loved about Jimmy was whenever he came to me, he literally would talk to me like, I know you can get it done. Like, I'm not telling you anything that I know you can't do. This is before I even do it. You know what I mean? He's like, I know you could put it together. So for me, I really think that we're from the same school. So I'm gonna tell you something deep you might not know. The Fugees' first contract ever, we was signed to Kool and the Gang, La Jam. We was signed to Kool and the Gang, right? La Jam. And the person, yeah, your eyes went up, right? So the person, we're gonna talk about it. So the person we were signed to was Wyclef Jean, Cool's brother. Now he the one that did Jungle Boogie, all of those records that even like Puff sampled, you know, Hollywood Swingin'. That is my first mentor. So can you imagine, I'm a little dude in the studio and this is my mentor and they're doing Blunted on Reality. And Blunted on Reality, being I came from a battle rap era, all I wanted to do was outbar everybody. So it was like, to your point, like how many bars I'm gonna get, right? But the thing was, my dad was a minister, so I had no choice. Every Sunday, I had to be in church. And in church was where, you know, I became the head of the choir. And, you know, my dad put a church in the hood. And the thing is, when I'm hearing my story, like with Wyclef Jean being my first signing, your first signing was Eazy-e?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you gotta break that down to me, because I just told you, like, my first signing, we was signing Kool in the Gang, and at times I felt like, even though I knew what I wanted to do, it was intimidating to, like, you know, I could have an idea, but I don't even try it till I go back to the hood. So when I'm in the studio with them, it's like, I felt like, man, this is Kool in the Gang. What the hell am I gonna tell them? How was your experience with Eazy-e, man?
So I'm from the projects in East LA, so, which is an all Mexican neighborhood. We were like one of the only black families, and it was just gangs, like cholo gangs, like Mexican gangs. And they have a different like gang architecture that is political and very organized. And being creative was my pass. Like, fucking Willie, dog, you look different, Holmes. Like, I talk like this, like when I was like from 7, like, not even 7, like when I first started to talk, Wyclef, like I talk like a straight up cholo, dog, like a Chicano, Holmes. So I started freestyling. There's this group called Crazy Town. His name is Shifty Seth Benzer. He had that song, Come My Lady, Come My Lady, yeah. You're my butterfly, sugar baby. So he used to pick me up from the hood because I went to all-white school. So raised in an all-Mexican neighborhood, went to an all-white school in Brentwood Palisades. And there was some black folks that came to our school that were bust out too. And my black friends were like, Will, you different. Nigga, why you talk like that? Like, talk like what? Nigga, you talk like a Mexican. Nigga, you crazy. Why you dressed like that? How come you always come to school in suits, nigga? Like, oh, because my mom don't want me to have play clothes in school. So I had to go to school in suits. So there's this guy named Seth that used to pick me up from the hood to take me to this club called Ballistics, because it was a rap contest that Bud Bundy from Married with Children used to throw. And Leonardo DiCaprio went to that club, Angelina Jolie. A lot of people used to go to that club. It was an underage club in Hollywood. Brian Austin Green from 90210, Punky Brewster, you know, everybody went to that club. And there was a rap contest, and I won that. I won the rap contest, like just freestyling, annihilating folks for like a year and a half, every Thursday.
Yeah.
And so Easy, Ruthless Records started changing. Like Ice Cube left, Dre left. So Easy, the businessman that he was, the entrepreneur that he was, went out and tried to get new talent to be at Ruthless. Mm-hmm. So he signed me at 16. I got signed to Ruthless at 16 years old. And he'd be like, nigga, you crazy, nigga, freestyle, nigga. Show these niggas. So I would just go off the head. Yeah. I would like go off the head and just like smash it. He was like, this nigga crazy, this nigga dope. Do you write? And at the time I wasn't really writing.
Yeah.
He was like, well, record your freestyles. And there's this other group. I got my 2 friends, Pat and Jim Bob. And we gonna start. I was like, what's the name of your group? They're like, we don't got a name of a group. I was like, where y'all from? They was like, we from Watts. I was like, why don't you call yourself 100 Watts? And Easy was like, nigga, that's dope. So I was ghostwriting for this group called 100. I was ghost freestyling for 100 Watts. And then we recorded a song with Eazy-E that year in 1992 called Merry Motherfucking Christmas. It was a Christmas album. And so after that, in 1993, we recorded another song called Niggas and Jews. So myself, my group that I was in, At Band Clan, and Blood of Abraham and Eazy-E, Niggas and Jews. It's like they're on the internet.
Yeah.
And Eazy-E, he was so like, he just gave us freedom. He knew what hood I was from. He was like, hey nigga, I know some people from your hood. I know some OGs from your hood, nigga. Like they know your whole family, nigga. They told me about your whole family because my uncle played football for the Falcons. You know, that experience told me that if Eazy-E can accept me and be open-minded to the style of music that I wanted to make, and I didn't have to conform and like do gangster rap just because I'm signed to Ruthless Records.
Yeah.
And he's from the hood and an architect of like gangster rap music, I don't have to change for anybody.
Facts.
If this dude accepted me and he knows what hood I'm from, then, well, shoot, I got a pass. I could be as eclectic, I could be as like unique, and I don't have to worry about fitting in. Because what happens is like very creative people feel like they have to like exercise just how hood they are. When there's so many different colors and different shades of blacks in the hood. There's a church guy in the hood, there's the athlete in the hood, there's an intellectual in the hood, there's the eclectic person in the hood, there's the mama's boy in the hood, and then there's the gangster in the hood. But America tells everybody that the gangster is what we all should try to be.
Facts.
So Eazy-E was like, nigga, do you.
Yo,
I didn't sign you to try to like, I didn't sign you for you to try to like, you know, do what we do. I signed you for how creative and eclectic you were. So that was that pass. And then when I moved over to Interscope and Dre was there, Dre treated me like family because Eazy put me on.
Wow. Yo, when I saw that, I was like, man, that part I did not know. You know, this is amazing to me because coming from Haiti and coming to America I think I was like either 9 or 10, Marlboro Projects in Coney Island. And being in Coney Island in the projects at the time, which was ran by the Italian mafia, right? And so you're on one side, I'm on the other side, right? And what's deep about it is very, very similar. Not only do we have the W, right? So my first music video ever, I was 18 years old and I was an extra for Eric B. and Rakim. I got you again, right? You're gonna have to run that back, right?
What song was this?
Yo, Don't Sweat the Technique. Yeah. Right? So that's me with my suit and my derby hat. This is just how I used to go to school, you know what I'm saying? And I'm playing the upright bass on the Eric B. and Rakim video.
Yo, that is you, bro. Look at you, bro. What the what? Get the F out of here, bro.
Yo,
Man.
That was my... Yo, but I say that because we talk about the suits. And yeah, boy. And we in the hood. And you see the suits, like, my mom wasn't gonna allow me to move no other way. So, for me, you definitely took me back to that era. And it was so funny because I needed to hear the Eazy-E story, like, from your perspective, because we all hear these stories. And at the end of the day, there's more similarity here. Coming up, I was always like, yeah, I'm from the hood, but we trying to get up out of the hood and trying to inspire the hood and bring things back to the hood. And then at the end of the day, I remember there was two nerds. They were from Erasmus in Brooklyn. And there was nerds in the daytime, and at nighttime, they robbed people. It was so crazy, because similarly to you, like, so we coming out, and it's the score. And they're like, yo, how are y'all gonna survive? You know, we got Biggie, we got Jay-Z, Reasonable Doubt. And I looked, I said, dude, the hood has many authors. And I said, every author I said, we have scientists, we have dealers, we got pimps, you know, we got the preachers, we got. So at the end of the day, I think, to your point, it was like just trying to convince people that the ghetto was just much more than that one picture that they was trying to paint in America, right? Because all of my friends, you know, like the feds call me HS, for real, Haitian Sinatra, right? Because all of my friends happen to just be gangsters coming up. I ain't no gangster. And what does the gangster tell me? Yo, Clef, keep going on that path that you went. Show them that we more than just this in the hood. So I'm very passionate about that story. So there's something, another synergy. I'm about to play you something that's gonna mess you up. Tell me, do you recognize this for a second?
Push your button. Let me push your button. Let me push your button. Let me show you button.
Trapping like the narco, got dope like Pablo.
Okay, stop that.
Yeah, so 2000, forgot what year it was. It was like before 2010 though. You come into the studio record plant and we're supposed to be working on something. And we're like vibing out and you're playing me some things to start off with. And you play me this one song and I'm like, yo, what the F is that? Let's do that.
Yeah.
And it was Let Me Push Your Button or something like that. I think that's what it was called.
That's right.
That we recorded. But you was on that kind of tip long ass time ago.
Yo, what's funny is my daughter comes to me and she go, Dad, I think the Migos just stole you and Will.i.am's record, right? My daughter's 15 years old, right? So I'm going, what record are you talking about, Gigi? And she goes and she plays Narcos, which came out years later afterwards. I was like, no. It's so crazy how she pulled the sample from the Narcos record and was like able to be like, I said, no. I said, Gigi, it's called the sample. I said, whoever the producer was, they cleared. She said, are you sure they cleared it with you and Will.i.am? I was like, how old are you? 15? What are you gonna be, a lawyer or something, an entertainment lawyer? So I love that session with you. My favorite part of this session was when 50 Cent came in. Do you remember? 50 came in, he said, what y'all two niggas working on? Some international stuff? This sounds like some international stuff. Because all he heard was So that was so crazy because, and because we was moving around, we never got time to continue, but for everybody that definitely missed it, this record right here is Will and Wyclef in the studio, long before people were saying international. The sonic sounded like this as kids. So this one right here is called Let Me Touch Your Butt.
If you got your ticket to the carnival, please report on the dance floor right now. She says, Will.i.am, Wyclef, you're such a dodgy geezer. I said,
let me touch your button, let me touch your button, let me touch your button, let me touch you, let me touch you, let me touch your button, let me touch your button, let me touch your button, let me touch you, let me touch you, let me touch your button. Wanna touch your button, wanna touch your button, wanna touch your, wanna touch your, wanna touch your button, wanna touch your button, wanna touch your button, wanna touch your, wanna touch your, let me touch your button, let me touch your button, let me touch your button, let me touch you, let me touch you, let me touch your button. Wanna touch your button, wanna touch your button, let me touch you, let me touch you, let me touch your button.
And she goes again the way she wave her body like the ocean. And the genie in the bottle, 3 wishes with the potion in. First wish health, second wish wealth, third wish let me push the button by your love. The Will.i.am, Wyclef slam. Still got this thing to make the chitty bang bang. Watch out for my brothers in the military games and the troops back home. No more biddy bang bang.
Beady bang the beady bang. Girl, let it go, just do your thing. Ring a ling a ling a ling. Call me on the phone, say anything. I'll be over.
That shit's go, bro.
Yeah, so if they missed it, they gotta go back. I say it was so amazing just being in the studio with you. So when I was in the studio with you, I noticed something. So I really thought I was the only thug nerd until I was in the studio with you. And I noticed you with the microphone right in front of you, literally controlling the computer, controlling every part of the matrix, right? And I was like, damn, it's sure me and this dude don't have the same father? Because similar to you, I was in the booger basement with Jerry, and they planted me in the basement because all I wanted to do was learn the equipment. So my first piece of sequencer was a Lin 9000 and a VFX
That was
keyboard.
mine!
Dude.
I learned on the Lin 9. I learned on the Lin 900.
That was my thing. You
to the point where I went out and hunted down Forat, Bruce Forat, who helped program the Lin drum machine.
Yes.
He had then my second piece of equipment was the Forat F16. Like what? Get the what? Damn.
Yes. So straight up, and then so the Lin literally is like a tutorial for because I was drumming in the church, and so Wyclef Jean put me on the Lin. What was crazy about it is when we was doing Killing Me Softly, you mentioned that record, dude, I couldn't afford no Fender Rhodes. I'm in the booger basement. We in New Jersey, East Orange, double line. What's good, Naughty by Nature, right? With the crack house in the back. But I used the S900 and I MIDI'd the oscillator, just the tone, the 440 tone. Ooh, oscillator.
Yeah.
Chopped the oscillator, and that was the Fender Rhodes. And I didn't notice that it wasn't 440, it was like 439. And what that means to anybody who's listening is if you play with Killing Me Softly and you playing an instrument, you have to detune the instrument to play it. And my friends be like, yo, every time we play Killing Me Softly, why we detuning it? What happened to the Rhodes? I said, dude, you ain't playing a Fender Rhodes. You playing to an oscillator that's detuned. So I only say that to get with this nerd talk, which is important to me when it comes to the idea of like engineering, arts, math. I'm so about it. And I had got approached by NASA to basically sounds from Jupiter and take the sounds, they bring them back to Earth, and then and you geeking out already, and then take the sounds from space and literally bring the sonics to Earth and create music to show the fundamentals of how space and Earth works moving forward. And I got a chance to do a record called Borrowed Time. Years before that, you literally was the first artist ever. And I watched you on CNN on different talks about technology way before anybody else. How do you perceive the role of tech moving forward for young youths, especially of diversity that be trying to get into the space, bro? Because everybody ain't gonna be a rapper, they ain't gonna be a producer, they ain't gonna be, and we need them to embrace engineering, arts, math, science, the whole technology. So where do you see this is going?
So I got into the tech space, the best way to say it is tech got into me first because I'm not a musician. I can't play the guitar. I can barely play the piano, the right chords, but I can't play the piano like the way our pianist plays the piano. And I know my limitations, but I'm a that fucking laptop, yo, that's what the fuck I play. I play the shit out of that laptop, bro. Like, ain't nobody better than me. At least I believe that. Like, I fucking rock the shit out of that laptop. To the point where our MD's like, he's a Berkeley graduate. Keith Harris plays the drums, the piano, he plays the bass. But when he sees me on the Pro Tools, he can't fuck with me. Like yesterday we had a session. Yesterday we had a session and he's like, you know there's a shortcut for that. I was like, yes, I know there's a shortcut for that, but the process, I don't want to abandon my process. Me actually editing this, I'm also writing my rap right now. So you may think that I'm going through like this, you probably sympathize for me that I'm editing the audio waveform myself, but I'm writing my rap.
Facts.
I'm writing the chorus as I'm doing this editing. And yes, there's a shortcut, but the shortcut is really gonna fuck up what I've learned to do. So when I'm editing these waveforms, I'm actually in the song. And so that's what got me into technology, and then hanging out with the folks at Avid and the folks that that help develop the product. And then going to the NAMM show and seeing like all the technology and the gear, and then hanging out with the Tascam folks and then asking like, yo, how much did it actually cost to make this device? Like what was the development cost to make this device? Because I remember going to like, big studios and working on tape and splicing tape to then like the Pro Tools rig, and I'm recording in the box. And then like the old school heads are like, oh, I don't really like digital, I like analog. And I'm like, I like digital. It gives me the fucking freedom. It's freedom. And so by loving Pro Tools and loving my gear and loving M-Audio, and then going up to M-Audio's headquarters and seeing like, oh wow, you guys just have one thing that the hood doesn't have. And that one thing that the hood doesn't have is just that entrepreneurial, and it's just a matter of time. But for somebody in the hood's like, I wanna make equipment. I don't wanna play the equipment, I wanna make this shit. And because we're competitive. We're competitive to where Lewis Hamilton, you didn't think a black dude was gonna, in 1990, you didn't think there was gonna be a black, champion and motor racing. Like you didn't know F1 was gonna be like a black dude winning all the races.
Killing it.
Like in 1970, you didn't know that there was gonna be a Tiger Woods. In 1970, yes, Arthur Ashe, but you didn't know that, the Williams sisters were gonna just dominate.
Yes, facts, talk.
And if you were Panasonic headphones or Sony headphones, you didn't know Beats was just gonna come and take your lunch.
Facts.
And so in 2004, Black Eyed Peas, we were just trying to get on. We're not like, when you think of, like, I'm a black dude, but when you think of Black Eyed Peas, we got so big that, and it hurts, it kind of hurt it still hurts a little bit. Like we're not considered a black group because we got that big. And when you think of Black Eyed Peas, you don't think of, it's no longer like urban or black culture, which is it's not good for the black community that Black Eyed Peas is not looked at as a black group, because we've had international success, and that should be credited to the black community, or more so than letting it be adopted. But that's just a thing that we suffer from all the time. Like when you think of jazz, you no longer think of black anymore. When you think of rock and roll, you don't think of black anymore. Like that, all that, I don't know why we have that. When you think of even country, you don't think of black. Like a lot of the things that we create and we invent, we dispose of, or it gets stolen from us to the point where there's no association to its origins. So to answer your question, it's a matter of time before someone from Haiti, there's some kid that's 15 years old, that's a nerd, that's gonna make an app that changes Haiti forever. And that person is gonna wanna keep the company in Haiti. There's where it's a matter of time before, Watts has changed forever because some, young girl, black or Latina, wants to compete and has the audacity to compete with Facebook sometimes having those audacious like attempts end up being like monumental. And there's nothing wrong with audacity sometimes to do something to compete outside of your realm. And what got me into technology was that iPod commercial in 2004. Jimmy and our manager was like, there's this iPod commercial. I was like, what's an iPod? Apple's new product. They got this thing called iTunes. I'm working on it with, they got me, I brought over the universal catalog there. And they're looking for a commercial. You should consider your song being for the commercial. So I'm like, how much they paying? They're not paying anything. I'm like, well, Dr. Pepper just gave us $500,000 to do that commercial. That's how I moved my mom out the projects, from a Dr. Pepper commercial. Back in 2001, that's how I moved my mom out the projects, was a Dr. Pepper commercial. But then hip hop on OK Player, like they dissed us. They were like, Black Eyed Peas, you doing that Dr. Pepper commercial. Dr. Pepper ain't the hip hop drink, Sprite is. I'm like, what? Tribe Called Quest had a Sprite commercial.
Yeah.
P-Rock and CeeLo Smooth had that Sprite commercial. But I was like, yo, but Five Dog said drink a lot of soda, so they call me Dr. Pepper, though. So, like, how come that's not a hip-hop drink? And like, Busta Rhymes got the Mountain Dew commercial. I was like, nigga, Dr. Pepper is helping me move my mom out the projects, okay?
That's right.
And so when we did that iPod commercial, I was like, just asking questions. I just asked questions like, yo, how much it cost to make this iPod? Like, what was the cost? And when I found out, like, it cost like $5 billion at the most to develop a product. And you think about the media buy, what they pay the artist, if they pay the artist. And I told myself, if I ever have disposable money like that, I want to develop my own product. That has always been my dream, because I've seen what computers do, what it's done for me, what computers have done for like my artistry, being able to take care of my family, move them, not just my mom, but then eventually my aunts, my grandma, my uncles, my cousins. We had a whole like migration out the projects. And technology was the cavalry, was a helicopter for me to be able to transport, migrate out of the hood. So from the iPod commercial came Verizon. From the Verizon commercial came like a Best Buy spot. From the Best Buy spot, we did a Nokia tour in 2000. That happened all from 2004 to 2006. So I came back from tour and I told Jimmy, yo, Jimmy, we need to make our own hardware. What do you mean we need to make our own hardware? What are you talking about, Will? We need to make our own hardware and use our music to sell our own shit. Well, you know what? You know why they call it hardware? Because it's hard. I was like, I know, I know. But what's hard is getting out the projects. That's actually hard, Jimmy. Making hardware is not hard. What's hard is like Dr. Dre, Eazy-e, that's hard. Making hardware is not hard. You've already done the impossible by taking Dre and wrestling with freaking like dragons and shit, literally, from Bloods and Crips, and providing a safe passage for the Snoops and the Dre's and all the other folks on your right. That's hard, bro. Making technology is not. Okay, well, all right. So 2 years later, he's like, why don't we do headphones with Dre? I've been thinking about this word beats. You want to be a part of it? Making hardware was your idea in the first place. I'm like, I was talking about phones and computers, though. We'll eventually get to that. I'm like, all right, I'm down. What you need me to do? I just need your brain. I need your way out the box thinking. I'm like, awesome. So if we could do beats, and that was like a gift and then a curse for a minute, because like that type of success makes you not value music the way, like beats made me like, it made me chase this other dream of around technology. And for like 8 years, we took a break. Like an 8-year break is suicidal. Like how do you come back from an 8-year sleep? And so, and what got us out of that 8-year slumber and have success again in pop culture was the Latin community. And so the Latin community is like some other shit. And I just want to, because I never told you this, you're one of the architects to what is the biggest form of music right now in the fucking world. And a lot of people don't really like big you up for, you know, hips don't lie. They don't big you up for the fucking blueprint. Like you set the blueprint of what, and this is what success is for this form of music.
Nah, that's love, my man. Well, young brother, you have grown to be very, very wise, I must say.
No, seriously, Clef, like, I was listening to, like, you know, and before it was Shakira's, that was your thing.
Yeah, and you know, coming from Haiti, we have Santo Domingo, we have Cuba, we have Puerto Rico. So naturally, for me, I've never understood when someone would come to me where I came from and they would say, this is not hip hop, this is hip hop. Similar to y'all, we had to fight the same fight, right? Because Fugees, I was like, we're gonna be a band. We're gonna play instruments. Like, look at the Rolling Stones, look at the Beatles. Like, yeah, I'm from the projects, but we know who Pink Floyd is. We about to pick up, we about to play this Jimi Hendrix. And what I want you to look at, Will, when I got involved in the Latin movement, it was Evie Queen, one of the first females ever to like flip the whole reggaeton thing and everything. By the time I got to Celia Cruz, it was so important to actually bring her into the studio. Because for me, Latin music is just part of the culture. Like, where I come from in the globe, it's like soca, reggae, salsa, merengue. So for me, first of all, congratulations, because what y'all doing in the Latin community is amazing, but listening to your story of where you came from as a young youth and your influence is different, you going to get embraced, right? So one of my secrets in the closet, I've always been like a closet DJ since a kid. I specialize in what's called blend tapes, right? So Bob Marley don't have a Grammy. He was at the Garden opening up for one of the biggest groups. And at the time, they didn't consider him urban. Jimi Hendrix left here, went to London, and laid down. Hey Joe, where you going with that gun in your hand, right? Dude, I'm here to defy all of that and to say fuck everybody that ever assumed that when I did Kenny Rogers with Pharoah Marsh, that wasn't hip hop because I was mashing up country with that. Fuck everybody that say if you from the hood, you not supposed to know who the hell Pink Floyd is. Fuck anybody that is in telling people from the hood, you can't be the next Gershwin. You can't be the next Quincy Jones. Because at the end of the day, when we move forward, it's one world. When I look at the Black Eyed Peas and I look at the Fugees, all I could look at is you in the studio as a creator and me in the studio as a creator. And if I ever put it together in one space and place, this is what it would have sounded like if we all was in the same group.
Wow.
Only attracted to things that bring the trauma. Overseas, yeah, we trying to stop terrorism, but we still got terrorists here living in the USA, the big CIA, the Bloods and the Crips and the KKK. But if you only have love for your own race, then you only leave space to discriminate and can discriminate. Only generate hate. And when you hate, then you're bound to get irate. Yeah, madness is what you demonstrate. And that's exactly how anger works and operates. Man, you gotta have love just to set it straight. Take control of your mind and meditate. Let your soul gravitate to the love, y'all.
Killing people dying, children hurt and you hear them crying. Can you practice what you preach? And would you turn the other cheek? Father, 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 help us. Send some guidance from above. These people got me questioning. Where is the love? Where is the love? Where is the love? Where is the love?
Man.
Ever heard the blues play through harmonicas? Man, hard coded in Antarctica. Wonder why we rise like the Spartacus. Cause we want what's just and this ain't what it is. King had a dream and it took him out. They did the same to Kennedy and the Cha-Cha. Ooh, child, things ain't getting better. Last is here comes the rapture. My daughter 15 and she about to cross the bridge. Her and her mama got a mask sitting on their face. Gotta keep the hope like a Marley slogan. When one door is closed, another way open.
People killing, people dying, children hurt and you hear them crying. Can you practice what you preach? And would you turn the other cheek? Father, 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 help us. Send some guidance from above. These people got me questioning. Where is the love?
That's dope, bro.
Yo, so
That's
from
dope.
one thug nerd to another, that's like me showing you how much I appreciate you and how much I understand you. And I look forward to whatever's the next thing you're about to bring to the culture, my little bro. And may the Lord be with
seriously,
you.
Clef. I just want to say, like, you know, like Taboo, my best friend, who I was in a group with, who I'm in the group with, he was diagnosed with cancer in 2014, and he beat it. And he wanted to get the group back together, but we were never broken up, so we just were on pause. And we were on pause, not knowing if we were going to return as a trio or a quartet. And we wanted to be a quartet because we wanted to honor the form that the world catapulted us to a different level. And so we were patiently waiting to be the quartet. So when the chips fell and told us that we had to return as a trio, we once again, the same path, the path that got us from after that Smoke and Grooves tour when Jimmy's like, turn in the score. And then we went in the studio and wrote songs like Rap Song and With You. And although that record wasn't the score Jimmy was looking for, it was the direction that pushed us to then make Where's the Love and Ella Funk.
Yeah.
And, you know, not everything's supposed to happen right when you want it. Sometimes you have to like go in that motion and then figure out the science of the motion that you're in to really to have momentum. So that was the motion, and then we took that motion and created momentum, and that momentum will then bring a movement. So you have to have motion to create momentum, and the momentum to have a movement. So we eventually got to that movement on Elephant, but it was that path, the path that, you know, that we saw with the score. And then what gave us the ability to have a resurgence and revitalize our brand and have success at 45 as a trio when no one thought was possible. Imagine it's three dudes and you were vibey, and then you bring the girl in, and it's like it's all huge, everybody naturally is gonna say it's the girl. She's the reason why they're successful. And so, and even though it's the songs are the reason why. And yes, she played a huge role, and we love her for the role she played. But if the song sucked, we wouldn't have nothing.
That's right.
So it's both. It's equal. It's like 50-50, or 60-40, depending on how good the song is. But here we are at 45, a trio. All the odds are against us. And then there's that blueprint. And I just want to thank you for that blueprint. Not just for me, but everyone else that is, you know, been able to take care of their families and see their dreams come true. You know, it's even not just your blueprint, but then like all the folks that came from the Caribbean, you know.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something about Maxie, a bunch of that beat, that rhythm is the foundation to reggaeton.
Big up Jamaica, see? Yeah.
You know? And like there's something beautiful about that island. And the combination, and all prayers, all hopes that Haiti and Dominica, that's the black and brown thing. And it's sad that there's a separation, but together is something beautiful about black and brown. And when I think of like Haiti, I also think about the island that it shares just on the other side with the DR. But thank you for that blueprint. Thank you the whole Latin world and the open-minded folks that want to collaborate, and their managers that I gotta think about the managers too, because the managers could have been like, you sure you want to work with the Black Eyed Peas? That was 10 years ago. And 10 years is a long time, bro. That's like you a bubbling act and you hot right now, and then like the OJs want to work with you and shit. that's like you fucking. That's like fucking.
Yo, talk your talk, nigga.
That's like, I'm like, nigga, are we the OJ? It's like, oh shit, man. Okay, we gotta figure out a way. We got to figure out the path.
So Will, I need you to do me a favor, because you're my music guy. If you was to take us out with one record, something we should put us up on some music, what's the last song I should play, real quick, to take us out?
From just anywhere in the world, from the world.
Whatever you want to do. Just give me one song to take me out.
It's called "Girl Like Me."
Yo, you already know, man. Girl Like Me, and y'all gonna have to run that back and back.
Hey, yeah. Hey, hey.
So they tell me that you're looking for a girl like me. So they tell me that you're looking for a girl like me. Ah, you're looking for a girl like me.
Latinas. Hey, I want a girl like Shakira. Hey, esa latina está rica. I want a find me a chica que sepa vivir y que viva la vida. I need a bien bonita, elegante señorita. Girl, I want you and I need ya all of my life. Yeah, baby, let's team up. I want a girl that shine like glitter.
I love you, and once the quarantine finish, I look forward to be in a jamming room with you with the Pro Tools. I got the guitar on one side. Let's see what happens.
Yo, you know what'd be dope if we did like a black refuge, a Fuji P, and you and I, like you for Fuji's, I'm me from Black Eyed Peas, and we just find the girl and make a whole freaking project. Like, yo, after you played that song, I'm like, yo, Fuji P or Black Refuge? Like, what? What that be like?
Yo,
that would be crazy.
Dude, listen, from one nerd to another, just find the girl. I'm ready. Call Jimmy. Tell Jimmy to find the girl.
That'd be crazy. She'd have to sing and like rap her ass off though. Like,
but guess where I think she's gonna be coming from? Guess where I think she's gonna come from? Africa.
Yo.
I'm telling you.
That'd be.
Watch. All right, so we put in the call right now. The new group, we just launched it. The two producers, the two nerds. Yo, Africa, let's look at Africa. Nigeria, Ghana, them places, them.
Let's go.
Let's look through our, all right, my king. I love you.
Love you too, Clef.
All right, baby.
Bye now.